Along verdant cliffs, a winding channel cuts through the landscape, its waters parting as a lone canoe glides through. Within it, a man paddles urgently towards his village, driven by the need to recount what he has just witnessed. His canoe, built for three, now carries only him, a lone survivor of an ambush. 8 of his companions, who had set out with him, were taken captive by pale-skinned, bearded men wielding gleaming swords and towering shields that cast a dark threat. Upon reaching his people, he quickly assembles a war party to plan their counterattack. This tribe, native to these lands for countless generations, has long existed on this side of the world, far from the gaze of foreigners. Their ancestors left the vast plains of Eurasia eons ago, braving the stormy prehistoric seas. Amid frozen lands and tundras roamed by mammoths, they established their lives and cultures on a continent untouched by other humans. As ages passed and the climate shifted, the land bridge connecting the hemispheres disappeared, severing knowledge and experience between the two halves of the planet. Time continued, witnessing the rise and fall of empires, the birth of languages, and the flourishing of beliefs and prophecies, each unaware of the other. Across the world, explore the Old West like never before with this National Geographic book, uncovering the journey of native warriors like Crazy Horse and Geronimo, along with the culture and conflicts of native peoples through the 19th century. It includes stunning illustrations, exclusive maps, and vivid historical accounts. Get your copy and experience the West in a whole new way. Check the link in the video description or in the first pinned comment. Viking warriors from Scandinavia, already feared for the devastation they brought to Europe and known for their colonies in Iceland and Greenland, now dared to sail toward the mysterious West. After centuries of separation, Thorvald Eriksson led a small band of Vikings to the shores of this new land. They explored its edges and set up camps, but soon noticed native canoes approaching, sparking a confrontation. The Vikings retreated to their ship for protection as a rain of stone-tipped arrows struck their raised shields. The battle ended as the natives withdrew, but not without a fatal consequence. An arrow found its mark in Thorvald. In his final moments, he instructed his men to bury him in this foreign land, marking his grave with 2 crosses, one at his head, the other at his feet. After honoring his request, the Vikings returned to the settlement established by Leif Erikson and, with the arrival of spring, set sail back to Greenland. Shortly thereafter, another explorer, Thorfinn Karlsefni, arrived with nearly 70 settlers, both Christians and pagans. Blessed by the gods, they received an auspicious omen, a beached whale, which provided sustenance as they prepared for the harsh winter. Karlsefni attempted to foster a peaceful relationship with the native tribes, who soon appeared carrying animal pelts, eager to trade. Initially startled by the Nordic bull, the natives eventually approached and offered exchanges. However, Karlsefni refused to part with his valuable iron weapons, instead offering the milk from his animals, which the natives accepted with curiosity, exchanging all their pelts for what they deemed an exotic drink. Following this initial trade, the natives withdrew, returning in greater numbers come autumn with even more pelts to barter. During this gathering, a native attempted to seize an iron weapon, igniting conflict. A Viking killed the intruder, and the natives fled. Anticipating retaliation, Karlsefni rallied his warriors, instructing them to ambush the natives in a nearby forest. Tomahawks and arrows clashed with Viking axes and shields in a fierce struggle. The Vikings managed to drive the natives away, leaving many fallen among the trees. After this victory, Karlsefni's group remained at the settlement through winter, loading their ships with wild grapes and pelts come spring before finally departing back to Greenland. This account is documented in the Saga of the Greenlanders, one of the 2 Icelandic sagas chronicling Viking voyages to North America, including Leif Erikson's expeditions that named these lands Markland, Helgeland, and Vinland. The saga of Eric the Red recounts a similar story, with notable differences. It combines Thorvald's and Karlsefni's expeditions into a single narrative, describing an intense battle where Native Americans inflicted significant losses on the Vikings, who were only saved by a bold woman named Fridas. She frightened the natives by striking her exposed chest with a sword, screaming fiercely. These sagas, recorded in the early 13th century, are products of a rich oral tradition filled with folklore and medieval stories where prophecies and disembodied voices often guided explorers. In Eric's saga, Thorvald meets a peculiar end, struck by an arrow from a one-legged creature, wounding him fatally. These Viking tales echo a fading era. Over time, Viking clans united into kingdoms and Greenland's settlements were abandoned. The stories of lands to the west turned to rumors and legends, told around fires or spread by wandering traders. By around 1340, an Italian monk reported hearing tales of Markland, describing mysterious lands inhabited by giants and enormous stone structures thought to be built by beings of immense strength. Yet, these stories remained vague, and their true nature was unverified. When Columbus reached the Americas in 1492, the Vatican recorded that no news had emerged from distant lands like Greenland in nearly 80 years. Scholars of the time questioned whether the Vikings had truly reached North America until, in 1960, excavations in Newfoundland, Canada, uncovered Viking ruins dating to 1021. These discoveries confirmed that Ericsson and Karlsefni's contemporaries did indeed establish a temporary settlement in North America, possibly reaching as far south as Maine or New York. Yet after a few years, the Vikings mysteriously abandoned this land. The reasons remain unclear, but evidence suggests they faced resistance from indigenous tribes, which may have contributed to the settlement's failure. Eric the Red saga notes that, though the land was fertile, the Vikings could never live there in peace, constantly fearing the native inhabitants. Eventually, they chose to return home, abandoning their attempts at colonization. Although America slipped from the Vikings' grasp, the stories and legends they left behind continued to inspire generations.